Armor Rig Stereotypes. Before we begin, I will be doing a Q&A for 100,000 subs, so if you have any questions, be sure to leave them below. Also, I know some people like to listen to my videos, but some of these armors have obnoxious names, so I won't be reading all of them out loud. Anyways, let's jump into it. This thing is one of the earliest marks of a turbo sweat. I know that sounds confusing considering it's a tier 3 armor that barely ever gets used, except for the first few days of the wipe. This thing sells out almost instantly in the early wipe. Unless you are camping Ragman and buy it within the first 5 minutes of a restock, it's gone. If someone is wearing it, they either got lucky with the restock, or they were willing to camp traders just to get armor that is slightly better than available alternatives. Yeah, that's turbo sweat behavior. The people who wear the MBSS seem to not understand that this thing is, in fact, only a tier 3 armor. Apparently, its more tactical appearance has them convinced that it's at least tier 4 because I see people running around like they're wearing GigaChat armor in this thing. They have the confidence of a guy in a tank when in reality they might as well be a crackhead wrapped in tinfoil. Sometimes this hyper-aggressive behavior works out for them, but most of the time they just get absolutely melted. The TV-115 can be similar to the MBSS, but I don't see it nearly as often. The few times I have seen it, it's on people using either a DMR or a sniper, so that may explain why I almost never encounter it. Ultimately though, someone probably just thought it looked cool, and they aren't too concerned about protecting against anything more than scav rounds. Ah, the diaper rig. Not too long ago, this thing was the armor of choice for basically everyone under level 40. Because of this, it was literally everywhere. I guarantee no matter what map you were on, at least a third of the lobby was wearing this thing. Nowadays, it's less common due to the price increase, but it remains a solid, relatively inexpensive armor for mid-tier kits. The MMAC, or MMAC, was another one of the insanely common armors for mid-tier kits. When it was first added, it was, again, literally everywhere. Its reign didn't last as long as the diaper rig, as BSG, sensing happiness and joy, quickly made it harder to access, but it's still relatively common. Just try not to get stomached. You found this thing on a scav that you happen to have headshot. You then decide that it's decent enough and you might as well run it. Because it's ceramic, shooting this thing even once basically destroys the durability. It also repairs like gluing sawdust back together, so it's really not ideal. It'll protect you for a solid engagement, but after, it should probably be tossed. I firmly believe that the only reason the ANA M1 and M2 rigs are still available on the flea market is because streamers like them. Otherwise, the M1 is a very popular option as a tier 4 rig. Because it's made of armor steel, it repairs nicely, making it easy to run over and over again. The two 4-slot pockets are also great for vacuuming up helmets. Like, seriously, people who run the M1 are obsessed with collecting headsets and helmets. If you die to someone who's wearing this, you're not seeing that headset ever again, even if it was just a crappy GSSH. That thing is gone. There are two types of people who use the M2 rig. Those that want solid tier 4 protection at slightly a cheaper price than the M1 rig, and those that number crunch so hard they might as well be playing Microsoft Excel. There is a rather vocal minority of M2 users who insist on its superiority over the M1 rig because, ooh, the titanium material means the M2 has higher effective durability than the M1 rig, therefore it's much better and you should run it. And, you know, they may be right, but my M1 rig can fit Scotland into its pouches, so I'll stick with that. Seriously, these people play Tarkov for the spreadsheets more than the gameplay. This is a bona fide rat. The entire reserve loot pool can fit in this man's chest, and you bet he is taking advantage of that. Because of this, I've only ever seen them near the night buildings on reserve. I guess it makes sense since this vest works pretty well for a sewer manhole. It's just weird that I never see it anywhere else. As far as rats go, they'll be slightly more aggressive when you catch them, but they'll otherwise avoid PvP. That being said, it's just not a very common choice. The Osprey is the epitome of a throwaway kit. This thing is literally just a heavier, less useful, harder to obtain, more expensive M1 rig, and yields no real advantages over its counterparts. If someone is using this, they found it on a raider, and they are running it until they can kill another player, where it will then instantly be dumped in a bush. The good news is, if you die with this thing on, it'll come back quite often in insurance because, well, no one really wants it. I'm sure this thing would be run by a lot of people if it was even slightly more obtainable. The only way to get this thing consistently is a barter for a military flash drive, an item on the flea market that is worth 160,000 rubles. Yeah, for that price, I would rather get an M1, M2, or literally anything other than this thing. You killed Tagilla and are disappointed that he had a Strandhogg rather than his tier 6 rig. Otherwise, it's pretty much just an MMAC but with stomach protection. The Banshee is, once again, very similar to the MMAC. They have the same movement penalties and they are made from the same material. That being said, this thing has more durability, is lighter, and is cheaper on average than the MMAC. Despite this, I have rarely, if ever, run into someone using it, even after Gigabeef made a video on it. I really don't know why. It's a perfectly solid armor. I guess it's just the middle child of Tarkov. Present, yet mostly ignored. The Chad Tier 4 rig. People who use the TV-110 reminisce on the days when you could place this over a fort armor. Those were strange, but good times. Otherwise, there isn't much to say other than it's a good rig and people like it. The only thing I have noticed is some people despise it because of how much space it has. They claim that it makes it easier for the player that kills you to take all your stuff and then you won't get anything back from insurance. I mean, I guess that line of reasoning holds some weight, but if you're rocking a TV-110 rig, you're probably not too concerned about everything coming back to you.
Also, Tan Man, how'd you forget about Tan Man, you motherfucker?
The Tech. Yeah, there's really nothing all that defining about it. It's good. Other than that, yeah, it's just good. I don't know. If someone is using the Ars Arma, they are a PvP sweat, like a massive one. Like, they can probably smell you. They were willing to complete a PvP-oriented quest on a chaotic map like Interchange just for the opportunity to barter for one of these. Because the barter requires a moonshine, they will also have hideout maxed. Like I said, mega sweat. So much so that they may be slipping into League of Legends territory. The CQC Osprey, but the tier 5 variant. Yeah, it's literally the exact same stereotype as the T4 variant, except it's slightly better. It's still used by basically nobody. There isn't all that much to say about Goon armors. They look really freaking good. I think they're some of the most aesthetically pleasing armor in the game, and they're also just really good as armor rigs, so people like them. This makes it pretty unfortunate that they are very difficult to obtain. The only way to get them is to either kill the goons or kill another player that killed the goons at one point. So they're very rare. I wasn't even able to get any just to make the PNGs for this video. So yeah, they're cool, but hard to get. The Baggerly is the hallmark of a turtle. A turtle is basically just a heavily armored rat that moves pretty slowly. They will also have a bag that is at least the size of a pilgrim, which coupled with the large rig maximizes their ability to hoard every piece of loot they come across. I call them a rat, but that's only because they creep around and prioritize money. In truth, if you come across one, they will fight you. And they aren't peaceful little creatures either. They will chomp your ass in half like a damn snapping turtle. Look out for these guys. If someone is using the Tagilla Rig, they probably like leg meta. After all, a little SP7 and a PP91 is all you need to farm him very consistently. The spirit of Tagilla seems to take over as people who wear his rig are often incredibly aggressive. The Tasmanian Tiger is the best graham cracker that money can buy. As a tier 6 rig, this thing is really solid at stopping the first 2 to 3 rounds of high pen ammo before it is just powderized. And you can't really repair it either, cause ceramic. It's the budget tier 6 and is utilized as such. If someone is using this, they're going to be fairly aggressive, counting on the initial protection of the armor without worrying too much about losing it. Alright, that'll do for the armored rigs. Next Stereotypes video will be on the armored vests, so be sure to leave any ideas for that video in the comments section. And other than that, thank you so much for watching, especially all the way to the end, and I hope you enjoyed.